All right, let's talk about something that's been a total game changer for web developers, Tailwind CSS. In this explainer, we're going to dive deep into how this tool is completely shaking up the way we style our websites. Okay, if you've ever written CSS, you know the drill, right? You're spending hours, maybe even days, just wrestling with it. You're making up these super long class names, fighting with specificity wars, all just to get a simple button to look right. It's a grind, a never-ending cycle for sure. Well, if you're nodding your head right now, you are in exactly the right place. Because we're about to look at Tailwind CSS. It's a framework that's really designed to just take all that stress away and completely flip your whole approach to styling on its head. So, to really get why Tailwind is such a big deal, we've got to first talk about the struggle. You know, those common headaches that pretty much every single one of us runs into with old school CSS.
And this quote, man, this just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That feeling of constantly inventing class names. You end up with stuff like card, header, title, primary, final, or something crazy. And then you come back to the project 6 months later, you look at that class, and you have absolutely no idea what it does. Is it safe to change? Who knows? That is the exact problem Tailwind is built to solve.
So, the big question is, how do you escape that nightmare of naming things? Well, Tailwind's answer is a totally different way of thinking. It's called the utility-first approach, and the core idea is pretty wild. You basically stop writing custom CSS files, and instead, you build your designs right there inside your HTML.
So here's what that actually means. Tailwind gives you this huge toolbox of tiny, single-purpose classes. Honestly, the best way to think about them is like Lego bricks. You get a brick that just adds a little padding, another one that just makes text bold. Each class does one and only one thing. And you just combine these little utilities to build out your entire design, piece by piece.
And this is the aha moment for a lot of people. Just look at this comparison. On the left, you've got your standard CSS button. You write it in a separate file, give it a name, you know the deal. But look at the right. That's Tailwind. You can see every little piece. PY-2 for vertical padding, PX-4 for horizontal padding, BG-blue-500 for that specific shade of blue. Yeah, it might look a little busier in your HTML at first, but here's the magic. You never have to leave this file. Everything you need to know about that button style is right there. Okay, theory's great, but now for the fun part. Let's see how these little Lego bricks actually snap together. We're going to build a classic component that you see everywhere, a card.
So every build starts with a foundation, right? We're going to grab a few basic pieces. BG Gray 50, that's our light gray background. Shadow LG, that gives it a nice big shadow to make it pop. We want some soft corners, so we'll grab rounded XL, and overflow hidden is just a safety net. It makes sure nothing weird spills outside the card. See? Each one is super simple, super predictable.
And here's what that looks like in the actual code. We've got our div, and we're just dropping in those classes we just talked about. You can see them highlighted there, rounded XL, BG Gray 50, Shadow LG. And just like that, boom, we've got the basic skeleton of our card. It already has a shape, a feel, no CSS file needed.
But what about making it look good on a phone and a big monitor? This, for me, is where Tailwind just blows everything else out of the water. See that little MD prefix? That stands for medium. It's a breakpoint. It literally means only apply this style on medium screens and up. So on a bigger screen, the card gets wider with MD Max W-2XL, and the layout shifts to MD Flex. It makes responsive design so intuitive. It's all right there in the class name.
And okay, let's add one more layer of awesome. Dark mode. Guess what? It works exactly the same way as the responsive stuff. You just add a dark prefix. So when the user flips their system to dark mode, the background automatically switches to that dark BG Slate 800, and the text flips to dark text white. That's it. It's literally that simple. No media queries in a separate file, no complex logic. It just works. Okay, so styling is way faster and more intuitive. That's a huge win. But Tailwind has a few more tricks up its sleeve. Some real superpowers that let you do some surprisingly complex things with way less code. And sometimes with, believe it or not, zero code. Let me ask you this. How would you build an interactive accordion? You know, for an FAQ section where you click a question and the answer drops down. You're probably thinking, okay, I need some JavaScript to handle the click events, to toggle a class, manage the state, right? I mean, you have to. But what if you didn't? What if you could build a fully working one with zero JavaScript? The secret here is actually ridiculously simple. It's a beautiful little hack. First, you use a native HTML tag called details. A lot of people don't even know about it. but it has built-in open and close functionality right in the browser. Then you just style it up with your normal Tailwind's utilities. And here's the kicker. Step 3. You use the open prefix. This works just like the dark or MD prefixes. It lets you apply styles only when the details tag is in its open state. And that's it. You're done. No JS, no frameworks, no state management. It's pure HTML and CSS magic.
Okay, so hopefully your mind is kind of blown right now and you're thinking, I need to try this. If you're ready to ditch the old way of doing things, let's talk about where you should go from here.
Look, the absolute best way to really get Tailwind is to just get your hands dirty and play with it. And the team behind it has made that incredibly easy. They built this thing called Tailwind Play. It's an interactive playground that runs right in your browser. You can just start typing HTML, add some Tailwind classes, and see your design come to life in real time. There's no setup, no installation. It's the perfect sandbox to just mess around and see how it all works.
And the great news is you're not alone and you don't have to build every single button and dropdown from scratch. The Tailwind ecosystem is huge. You've got amazing libraries like shadcn/UI for these beautiful copy-pastable components. Headless UI gives you completely unstyled but fully accessible building blocks. DaisyUI adds component-like classes on top of Tailwind. There are so many options that let you move even faster.
So when you really embrace this utility-first way of thinking, you get so much back. You get insane speed, you get consistency across your entire project, and you get this really powerful, intuitive way to build complex, modern designs, all without ever having to jump between your HTML and CSS files. It really is a revolution for your workflow. So the only question left is, are you ready to join it?